guys, and welcome to another episode of the Dutch Supra Club. I've saved up some material to make a longer video. Please comment if you prefer longer or more frequent videos. As you can see in the intro clip, 2021 has some nice stuff for the Supra. I really wanted the hood painted, so I sent it to a paint shop locally and they took great care of it. Now it's time to install the boost sensor. It's a 3-bar Grady boost sensor that came with the Emanage. I've fed the cable through the rubber here. It was already spliced, so I could feed it through like this. After pulling it through the inside of the car, it was just plugging it in. I've installed the other side on the designated vacuum port on the intake, and now it's time to swap the injectors. First, I take out the old 330cc and I put in the new 550cc. But after checking, one of the injectors was dead, so Peter Bas and I replaced them with 440cc that we had laying around. Now we need to ensure the jumper settings on the Emanage are correct. The previous user had probably used the water and intake temperature sensors, but I prefer to read knock for tuning purposes. Make sure you look at the diagram for your circuit board, since the position of the jumpers didn't align with the PDF and my circuit board. I followed the booklet I got and those worked. By putting jumper 13 and 14 to open, it can read the knock sensors and display it. I've put both PDFs in the description below if you need any information on the Emanage. Let's start her up and see what AFR we're getting. Not bad. Now we can drive to Peter Bas to tune it. Did you notice that orange light on the cluster? Not a light you should ignore. Luckily it was close to my work, so I could add fuel quickly. Once arrived at Peter Bas, we first changed the oil so we can start fresh. I just braked in the engine with a few miles, so it's a good timing. We did some basic road tuning and this is the result we got. "7 psi, but there were some troubles with the TPS. If you're interested to see how the Emanage software works, keep watching right now, else you can skip to the time on screen. So, tuning the Emanage is pretty straightforward. We start clicking on the blue car, which sets the parameters. We have a 2JZ GE engine and most presets are already correct. We've added the offset angle so the timing light and the actual timing is spot on. On the ignition tab we find one channel, which is a distributor. If you connect the sensor wires, you can even set it up for coil and plug, but for now we leave it as is. I didn't do anything on the ignition cut, because it's a pretty hard cut. Throttle is self-explanatory. You press the throttle once and it will create a range from 0 to 100. Off to channel settings. Since I want to use the knock sensors, we need to disable the intake temperature and the water temperature sensors. The OEM knock sensors are resonating ones, and I filled in the closest matching frequency. The out and inputs are unused. On the front panel we use option 1 for the Grady boost sensor. Option 2 goes to the AFR meter. I've also set a warning light on the unit if the knock sensor senses more than 5% knock. Now comes the important part, and as far as I understood, if you have the map, you need the airflow adjustment map. If you have the MEF, you need the airflow output map. Also, we need the ignition table and the injector table. Finally, we don't need the AF target map and also not the AT settings. On the injector tab, we need to scale the injectors from 330, the original ones, to 440, the new ones. Here we need to trick the original signal to think we're not running boost, so it doesn't cut aggressively. That's why on boost we cut 20% of the signal, which is enough for the engine to be happy. This is my injector and ignition map, which is a street tune. Of course it's different for every car with different injectors, turbo and other components. Next week we're putting her on a dyno to adjust it once more and see what we can get out of her. The Grady Emanage software I found online often doesn't work and there are many troubles with it. So that's why I contacted Grady California and Grady Japan, Trust. And we together got to a version that actually works. So I put this one down in the description. You can download it and use it as well. "50 psi is already much better and boy does it sound loud. I love the HKS blow off and the turbo whistle. Next up, we're going to renovate the cluster by adding new gauge faces with LEDs. Thank you for watching and see you next time.